What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup here on Touchline Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button to not miss any of the content going up on the channel, including my Euro 2024 recap video from earlier today. So be sure to check that out as well. This Weekend Roundup video, all about Copa America and some quick MLS thoughts. It is Argentina. Once again, somehow, someway, third consecutive major tournament triumph, defend their Copa America title. It takes extra time, but they ultimately get the goal through Lautaro Martinez and defeat Colombia. Colombia were really good in the first half. The better of the two teams. The longer the game went, the more comfortable Argentina got. Created the better chances in the second half. Messi goes off with the injury. It deserved to go to extra time, in my opinion. It was pretty balanced over the 90 minutes. And ultimately, it is Argentina who get the breakthrough, avoid going to penalties, and defend their Copa America title, like I said. There weren't too many huge talking points in the game itself. The big thing was Messi's original injury and then ultimately when he left the field. Those were probably the two biggest talking points until the goal. And waiting at the end to see if there's going to be a penalty given. So I want to keep this short and really just talk about the bigger picture here. Because this is a great illustration of something that I'm beginning to even crystallize my beliefs in even more. It's not like this was a terrific performance. They didn't blow Colombia off the field. There were chances to score, but it could have been either team. But the longer this went, the more opportunities Colombia let slip away, the more you felt like this was only going to end one way. Whether it was in 90 minutes, in extra time, or in a penalty shootout. And that right there is the brilliance of Argentina. It is very similar to Real Madrid. And it is, to me, the single most valuable skill you can have as a team in knockout tournaments. Where things are going to happen, you're going to be put in different situations. You've got to find a variety of solutions. And you look at this Argentina team. It's not like this has been a incredibly pretty, super smooth run to 3 titles here. We don't even have to go back to the other Copa America. They lost their World Cup opener to Saudi Arabia. They had the World Cup final won, threw it away and had to regroup and find a way to survive in penalty shootout. Ecuador could have sent them home in the quarterfinals of this competition. And they didn't look very impressive, playing on a very friendly side of the bracket where they shouldn't really have even been tested as their title of the best team in the world indicates, until they got to the final against the Colombia team that obviously is in terrific form and hadn't lost in 28 games. By the way, the team that beat them, Argentina. But that's not how this went. Because it seems like it's never how it goes with this team. But it's not an accident that they keep finding a way. It's because when they need to go score 3 goals or find a way to put a game away with a second, they do. When they can't get the second goal and they're up 1-0, they have an entire system bringing Nicolas Otamendi in to go shut games down. And generally, you don't score once it's 1-0. If they get the first goal, most of the time it's over. Sometimes, like the Ecuador game, you find a way to equalize. And then what happens? You got to go face Emi Martinez in the shootout. These are a bunch of guys playing at some of the and not every player in their starting lineup, but the core of this team is playing at places like Chelsea and Liverpool. You can go down the list, Rodrigo de Paul. Obviously, you have Messi, Lautaro Martinez, Julian Alvarez, forgot Manchester City in there. Right, they got world-class players here. Still, to me, it's not the best squad in the world in terms of pure talent, but it's up there. And these guys are also comfortable playing in the crunching tackles, how is that not a yellow card, super physical world of CONMEBOL. And to some degree, thrive in it. It's not just something they have to do, it's something that they excel at. Rodrigo de Paul, Alexis McAllister do all the dirty work and can then also create those goal scoring opportunities and be those secondary creators when you need them to. Talked about the goalkeeping. Not a more intimidating, difficult to face, annoying, obnoxious goalie in the world. Probably not a better shot stopper when it comes to penalties in the world. Just look at his track record. Of course, you've got Messi. But even when Messi gets injured in the final, they wait until extra time to bring on the leading scorer in Copa America, who, by the way, is the primary goal scorer for the best team in Italy. Because Julian Alvarez is starting and he's doing pretty well, so we don't need to start with Lautaro Martinez. We don't really have a spot for him. It's all of that combined that makes them so well equipped and so confident in these situations. And it's what I've started calling situational brilliance or situational excellence. In this sport, games are decided by 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 moments, depending on how it's going, how many goals are scored, what the situation is. Games like this one, 1 or 2 moments. Somebody was going to do something to create a goal or somebody was going to make a mistake. And you kind of got both of them in one moment there for the goal where Colombia get caught out defensively. Argentina are able to identify. Lautaro Martinez has a really good finish. One mistake, they capitalize on it. When you need Emi Martinez to make the save, he seemingly always does. Just those decisive moments, they win time and time again. And just like Real Madrid, it just feels like if you don't punish them early, before they get going, you're done. And some teams just can't punish them at all. And then, like I said, it's a 1 or 2-0 win. It's comfortable. They're not very stressed about it, which has been a lot of this tournament outside of that Ecuador game. It hasn't been great. They haven't poured on the goals, but they haven't been stressed. They weren't stressed for most of that Ecuador game. It was tight, but only got real until they gave up the equalizer and then almost gave up another goal right after that, almost with the last kick of the game. But they didn't. Situationally, they were better in those decisive moments. So you go to a penalty shootout and then Martinez comes up big. That is all I can think about coming out of this game. That is what you need to be so good and so confident in these knockout tournaments. Because you're going to get faced with different scenarios. It's my criticism of England. And I talked about that after the Euro 2024 final. Nobody epitomizes this better than Argentina. They can just play whatever type of game they need to and make whatever kind of adjustments and tweak their approach however they need to. It's super, super flexible because they can do everything and beat you in just about every way imaginable. You saw it again at this Copa America. They don't necessarily look like the best team in the world if you just base it on performances. But if you want a team to go win a knockout tournament and to thrive in the most important moments of a game, from back to front, there is nobody better. And that's why they're Copa America champions again. That's why they are, by any metric that matters, trophies, performances, results, the best team in the world. Specifically the first and third one there, because the performances gets a little bit dicier, as I just talked about. But in terms of teams you need to go win a game, there's nobody better. Because there's nobody better situationally. Argentina, Copa America champions again. Real quick here before I get out, I do want to talk about what the Columbus Crew did to LAFC at BMO Stadium. The Columbus Crew have outscored their last 5 opponents 20-2. One team came within 4 goals of them, and that was not LAFC, who lost 5-1 and scored a goal at the end that almost didn't count because it didn't matter. For the purposes of the game itself, it was over. 2 things here. On the Columbus side of this, they have not put together a stretch like this over the past couple months. Because they went 2 months basically without winning a game in MLS play. And now, they're steamrolling people. And I believe it's 1 loss in their last 2 months, essentially. They're back in the Supporters' Shield race. And they continue to have the highest ceiling in Major League Soccer. That was the case in 2020. That was the case last season. Maybe Inter Miami this season, you could argue, has a higher ceiling. Maybe. The criticism of the Crew is that they get everything lined up heading into the playoffs. And then you come out of the playoffs going, maybe they really were the best team. But they don't do it during the regular season. They have not put together an extended stretch like this where they look this good. This is something new. And it came right after they had some struggles. They paid the price for their deep run in Champions Cup. But all of that is behind them now. That goal from Cucho Hernandez was absolutely outstanding. They blew the doors off LAFC. The best 3 teams in this league reside in the Eastern Conference. 2 of them reside in the state of Ohio. The other one has Lionel Messi on it. That is without question to me. Felt that way before this game. Definitely feel this way after this game. Unfortunately, they're all going to have to play each other to get to MLS Cup. And I still think I'm leaning Inter Miami. I haven't budged from that. But if the Crew, and the other part of this too, if the Crew keep this up, and we'll revisit this later, but if the Crew keep this up, win the Supporters' Shield and win MLS Cup, hands down, unequivocally, best stretch, best team, MLS history. With what they did last season, what they've done this season. There's a long way to go before they do that, though. But that is the position they put themselves in if they keep looking like this the rest of the way. On the LAFC side of this, I will talk more about this if Steve Cherundolo ends up being the U.S. men's national team head coach, because it has looked better. They've been really good when they actually have a striker on the field. Surprise, surprise. And now Olivier Giroud is going to be that striker. They're still the clear favorites in the West for me. But when they play the best teams, the top teams in the Eastern Conference, the Liga MX teams, they have not performed well. And this is part of my frustration with the narrative when we were talking about them as this dynasty and, the best team MLS has ever seen. I don't want to spend too much time on this right now because there'll be time to dissect it more later. But we would be having a different conversation if LAFC were in the Eastern Conference. That's what I want to lay out here. They have not really been challenged in any meaningful way in the West. And they get to play those Western Conference teams a bunch. And Steve Cherundolo has now once at least and probably twice figured the formula out to get the balance at least close between being able to break teams down and being lethal on the counter. Because they overcorrected last season, and they've brought it back a little bit more in balance, and Giroud is going to really help with that when he gets going here soon. But for all of their resources, they nearly lost the MLS Cup at home, got saved by Gareth Bale at the end, and then won in the shootout. The finals, they've come up short other than that. They didn't offer Columbus much of a challenge last season. I know the score was close, but that game was not. They just got blown up by Columbus again. They haven't done particularly well against Liga MX teams. There is another level to get to here. And I really think we would be talking about this team differently, and the resume would look different if they're playing in the Eastern Conference. And what happened Saturday night was another example and another piece of evidence toward that point. That's all for this edition of the Weekend Roundup. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.